For decades, scooping up Indigenous children from their families was commonplace in Canada. 20,000 children were sent to foster care and adopted. Well, Inez Cook is one of those children. She has reconnected with her culture and her community. In fact, she owns a business that is all about that culture. And she's written a book about her childhood experience. It's called Sixties Scoop. Inez, welcome. So nice to see you here.
So nice to see you as well. Thanks for having me.
Tell us about your experience. How were you scooped?
Well, I was taken away at age 1 from Bella Coola and put into foster care. And I was, I look at it as I was one of the lucky ones. I was given a great home. I was adopted into a great family filled with love. So that's a plus side. But it wasn't until later on that I realized what had really happened. And what had happened was wrong, and just understanding that.
But when you were younger, how was it all explained to you?
It wasn't explained to me. It was just, my parents had adopted me. They didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't them that was doing something wrong. They were giving, a child that they thought needed a home filled with love. So it wasn't my parents that, they didn't really even understand what was going on, I don't think, at that time. It was just, here's a child that needs a home and we can take her and let's adopt her. And so, I've discussed it with them as well. And I was just told that I was the chosen one and I was adopted. That's all I was told my whole life. So it wasn't really until adulthood that I understood what actually happened.
And I imagine at 1 year old, you don't have any recollections of your previous life or family or that community. Did anything stick?
Well, it's interesting, and I do talk about it in the book a little bit, is that I had reoccurring dreams my whole life growing up, and I could hear a lady speaking to me, and I would wake up crying, and I never knew what she was saying, and I knew that I needed to know what she was saying. And I didn't find out until I went back and got reconnected to my community and my family that she only spoke to me in the Newhalk language. And so apparently she was sending me a message in my dreams, and I knew that innately. I just didn't know what she was saying.
So how did you deal with it when those lights are coming on and you're starting to connect the dots and this was me, I was involved in that scoop? How did you deal with it?
It started with my biological sister calling me saying that there was a class action lawsuit that I needed to join. And at first I thought, I should leave that for the other people that didn't have, a positive outcome like I did. And I thought, no, what happened was wrong. And there's strength in numbers, and we need to talk about this. There needs to be dialogue.
And how did your adoptive family react?
They reacted very, supportive.
Yeah.
Very, very supportive. It wasn't until later that my mom actually understood, wow, it's true. What they did prior was wrong. Us taking you and adopting you wasn't wrong, but the things that happened that brought us to that was wrong.
Well, the story that you've been living with for a lot of your life, that's something that you've had to deal with, but the rest of us are just hearing about these stories now, and the fact that you've decided to put it together in a book is really interesting. How did you approach this? This is a book for children, in essence.
Yeah, it is a children's book, and luckily enough in the schools now they're starting to include, Sixties Scoop, residential schools, different Indigenous issues into the curriculums, and it's really the time is now to discuss this and to open up the dialogue with everybody. We didn't have any of this information growing up.
But do you worry that this is a difficult message for little ones to hear at some points? What, you were taken from your family? Were you worried about that as you decided to put your story in print?
I think children can handle honesty, and this isn't a make-believe story. This is a true story, and we need to work for a positive future. That's all about reconciliation, right? So I think it's important at all age groups, understand that.
So do you feel like that's all sort of come to a resolution? Are you happy with where you are now?
I'm very happy with where I am now. I think that writing this book has actually been very healing and sharing my story is healing. And seeing that people are actually, interested in hearing about my story, that's also very healing.
Yeah, but you are also spreading your culture with your restaurant as well, Salmon and Bannock.
Yeah.
So what kinds of energy does that bring to your life?
So much pride. I've lived all over the world, and my dream was to have a restaurant, and I wanted to take people on a culinary journey. And now, with my Indigenous restaurant, I'm really able to take people on the culinary journey within. And it's like I'm bringing everybody with me. It's really special.
You were a flight attendant, right? That's what you're talking about,
Yeah,
traveling the world and...
Exactly, I'm still a flight attendant.
You're still a flight attendant.
Yes.
Okay, so what's next for you, Inez?
Oh, I don't know.
Author, restaurateur, flight attendant?
We're just trying to get through Dine Up Vancouver. One day at a time.
I'm so glad you were able to come in today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well done. Well done. Covered a lot of ground there, but that's, yeah, excellent.